of the things the coach said, just come out and play your game. You know, the first 2 games we came out kind of flat, and I just wanted to bring that energy at the start of the game and start the game off right. Got a little lucky there on Isaiah's miss, and that started the game off right.
And Isaiah, that starting lineup, how did that change things for you guys tonight as opposed to the first 2 games?
Just gives us space. I think Brad is just big on space and being in attack mode, catch and go. He's always talking about either catch and attack the paint or pass or shoot it. And I think the guys out there today were just guys that can catch, shoot, drive the lane, and make the extra pass. And everybody played a big part in tonight's win, but it's only 1 game. Now we got to look to game 4 to take care of home court.
Left-hand side, Kevin.
Kevin O'Connor, SB Nation. There's obviously a lot of talk about the spacing Jonas provides, but how much does his ability to switch on defense really help you guys out, especially when you go 4-5 with Crowder at the 4 and Jonas at the 5?
It helps a lot. It goes back to last year. I think we ran that lineup a lot last year, and we were very successful in making teams adjust to us on both ends. Jonas is a versatile player that can guard multiple positions. He was even out there guarding Schroeder and Teague, and that's hard to do, but he did a pretty good job on them, and we just got to build on this, remain confident, and look forward to game 4.
Jonas, how comfortable do you feel defending multiple positions?
That's the way we've been playing all year when I've been in there, and he's been throwing me at the 5 or the 4 or the 3, and we've been switching around, and like I said, just making the other team adjust to what we do, and it kind of worked pretty good today, but I think we can do a lot better. He got a couple easy buckets on me, and so did Schroeder. And that's something I got to look at the video and take away in the next game.
Part 2 of the Garden Report here, the Swedish Larry Bird edition of the show, where we talk about
the Swedish swish,
the starting power forward for the Boston Celtics, and the closing center for the Boston Celtics, Jonas Jerebko.
Yes.
He's a new father, baby Isabel watching him from home. He put on an absolute show, and I can guarantee you she was watching. So
hopefully they DVR'd it.
He had 11 points, a game-high plus 14. He had 12 rebounds and 4 assists, playing from the 4 and the 5 spot for the most part. He had to guard guys like Paul Millsap tonight, Al Horford tonight. I mean, he had really tough matchups.
Switch on the tee.
And Amir Johnson, someone will credit also. Amir Johnson had 15 points. Paul Millsap and Al Horford combined for 16 points.
That's a quiet 15 points for Amir Johnson.
I mean, I thought he was pretty great in this game, but in the 4th quarter, they went to Crowder at the 4 and then Jerebko at the 5, so we didn't really see much of him at the end, though. But Jerebko's performance early in this game, obviously we talked about it, that tip slam to set things off, that was great. But at first, they weren't honoring his spacing. They were going with the same defensive scheme of packing the paint, not really switching out onto guys and letting them take their shots. Then he started to actually make shots and make plays. It wasn't, I mean, he only went 1 for 4 from deep tonight, but he was stepping in to take some shots. He was actually driving and kicking and making plays. I mean, he was really effective tonight, and he restored the Hawks' necessity to actually guard the perimeter for the Celtics, and that's what opened things up for Evan Turner to work out of the post, for Isaiah Thomas to keep getting to the lane and getting to the line and score his career-high 42 points. So Jonas was like kind of the unsung, or he was the semi-MVP tonight for the Celtics.
I think he was such an unsung hero that he's like extremely sung.
Yes.
He's like an extremely sung hero.
Screaming his praises from the mountaintops.
And rightfully so. I'm going to say career game for Jonas Jerebko. I'm going to go ahead and say that. When you factor in the big stage, you factor in how badly they needed this win, you factor in how effective he was on both ends. On the offense, and Brad Stevens said this, it's kind of a bonus, right? I mean, they're not putting Jerebko in there for him to score 5 of your first 9 points of the game and really like set things going in the right direction. But, I mean, sure, if he's in there because he can stretch the floor, if you're going to give him that shot, he's going to take it. And he does have the ability to get to the hoop, and we saw that right off the bat with that putback slam. This is a guy that when he is out there playing, he's gonna give it. He's not leaving anything out there on the court.
And Stevens said that they mostly wanted Jerebko out there for defensive versatility and the theory of spacing. But the thing is, like they've seen so far, they put out R.J. Hunter out there, who in theory is a shooter, but he didn't actually make the shots, so he wasn't actually getting effective spacing. So they need the guy to actually make the play, and Jerebko proved that, and that's why at first the Hawks originally at the beginning of the game said, that's great that you in theory have spacing, but we don't believe you, so we're going to put it to the test. And then when they learned the hard way that it's going going to work, they had to make up for it. And the fact that the Hawks had that comeback in the third quarter to make up for the fact that they lost the first quarter 37-20 was pretty remarkable. And that was when Amir was in the game, and Amir and Isaiah were the two guys really keeping the team afloat. Amir had a great game. He didn't play much in the fourth, or at least at the end of the fourth quarter, so it wasn't quite as memorable as what Jonas was doing. But he was going toe to toe with Horford and really beating Horford most of the time. He had some tremendous plays. He only got credited for 2 blocks, but I think he had 2 or 3 other shots, shot stops at the rim that were just as valuable as block shots.
Shots altered.
Yes, shots altered. And he was just so effective in so many ways in the post, both stopping guys like Schroeder and T coming into the lane, but also really keeping Horford out of his game, and then the whole team kind of combined on Millsap again.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to talk about Amir for a minute, I mean, you can go as small as you want for as long as you want, but at some point you're going to need size. I mean, I know that the NBA is an ever-changing landscape and it's all about three-pointers now, but there comes a point where you just need a big guy in there sometimes, and especially if you want to, make sure that you're not getting exploited down low under the hoop, because as good as, Millsap and Horford are out of the paint, they can be just as effective. They're big bodies, and you can't sometimes, a Crowder or a Jerebko, they can body you up, further out, but once you get close to the basket, I mean, it just becomes a size issue. So a guy like Amir, you need that size in there, and I think he was, like I said, a quiet 15. He's another guy that the offense is a bonus. You're not really looking for points out of him. You're looking for him to do his job on the defensive end, grab boards, get these guys back out in transition, and I think that's something that he did very well tonight.
All right, so we're going to come back in part 3 here.
By the way, Jonas, 239 games without a start until tonight.
And like I said off the top, he hadn't played 30 minutes in a game, 30-plus minutes in a game, in I think it was 5 seasons.
You're right.
37 minutes
Talk
tonight.
about waiting for your time to shine.
It's pretty amazing. All right, so we're going to play you the Grandstand play of the game. You know where to go for Grandstand, the best way to get view of the game from fans in the stands. And then we're going to come back for a third part where we're going to answer the questions from our Facebook live streamers. We have 69 viewers right now. Hilarious.
We lied to everybody. We
Did
said
we
we were going to start the second video with Isaiah Thomas.
Oh, that's right. So
we have to do that right now.
instead of editing it, we're just going to do it right now.
We're just going to do it.
Isaiah Thomas doesn't get suspended for this hit. I say no. I say he gets a $25,000 fine.
So, recap. Do people know?
If you watch our show, you know. I don't have to recap it for you.
Yeah, you got to know.
You're a serious Celtics fan if you're watching.
Isaiah Thomas. Did he or did he not intentionally take a little bit of a swing?
Very obviously intentionally swung.
Dennis Schroeder.
There's no question whatsoever.
He says he didn't see him.
That's great.
He's sticking by that.
That's great for him.
If you're Isaiah Thomas, you have to say that.
Sure.
You can't sit up there and say,
course.
hey, he was bothering me and emotions got out of hand and I took. You can't say that.
Yeah.
So whether or not he's telling the truth or not, it doesn't matter. You say what you have to say, and you hope that the league slaps you on the wrist with a hefty fine, because make no mistake about it, Isaiah Thomas not playing on Sunday, I mean, I don't want to say don't come, but there's got to be something better you can do on a Sunday evening than watch the Celtics lose by 40 if Isaiah Thomas.
Oh, I know. If Isaiah doesn't play, I'm sure Jonas will take over a point guard and he'll score 40 points.
That's true. I mean, yeah, you can't write him off completely.
Something that Jonas Jerebko can't do. I think that's one thing we've learned.
I think he's probably, I agree with you, I think he's, my brain, I'm not sure if this is my brain or my heart and soul saying that he's going to get a fine, but I'm going to say brain. I think he's going to get a fine. If the NBA suspends him for that, I mean, Schroeder was fine. They played on. This is the playoffs. There's, emotions are high. Should he have gotten a flagrant? Yes. He's lucky. Maybe he's lucky he didn't get ejected. Maybe that's the luckiest part about the whole thing, if he doesn't get suspended at all. But it's an emotional game. It was probably the best playoff game of the NBA playoffs so far. Maybe I'm being a little biased, but there hasn't been that many good playoff games so far. This was a pretty good game all the way through. I mean, Celtics took a big lead at one point, but Hawks came back. It was an emotional, intense game. I think he'll get a fine. I think he'll be in the lineup on Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, there's been a few other better games, but it was definitely the best game of this series, and there's been a few real.
All right, well, it's definitely like a top 3 game. There hasn't been that many great. Okay, all the game 1s weren't great. Most of the game 2s weren't great. I'm telling you, it's got to be a top 5 game. I'm saying it's a top 5 game.
I think we should end the video at this point. But yeah, okay, so stick around for part 3.
Top 5 game,
we're going to answer your Facebook live feed questions here on the Garden Report on CLNS Radio and Celtics Blog.
That's